All right, guys, we are live here. Welcome to the Backs to Riches podcast. I'm Zach Ginn. We are joined today by the REI Data King himself, Jesse Burrell. Guys, Jesse is probably one of the top real estate investors when it comes to data. Probably one of the smartest guys you can come to when it comes to probably the most important part of real estate investing, which is data. Without data, you're going to have no leads, and no leads, you're going to do no deals. So thank you so much for coming on today, Jesse.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I think I was supposed to be on a while ago, and my schedule got mixed up, so I'm excited to be on.
No problem. You're a busy dude, man. So I'm pumped.
For sure.
So let's get the elephant out of the room here. How does it feel to finally own a Lamborghini?
It's pretty cool. I waited a long time. I've been in real estate for quite a while, and I got it for me. I don't really flaunt it on social media too terribly much, and it's just it was a trophy. It's something I wanted for a long time, and when I was in a place to where I could get it, I got one, and then soon after, my business partner had to get the same car in a different color.
Yeah, I saw you guys both post. I thought it was pretty funny, but I mean, you definitely have come from really humble beginnings. So if you don't mind introducing the audience to who you are, who you work for, your entire thing, on just how you got into real estate.
Yeah, it's an interesting story for sure. So Jesse Burrell, as he introduced me, I got into real estate in like 2014. And I was working for someone in Phoenix that was fix and flipping, and then he was buying from short sales. He was buying from the auctions. And then he also had a property management company to where he is Israeli, and he had a bunch of friends that he would buy them, upsell them, basically assign them to his friends, and then manage the properties. And it was my job, and I didn't know it at the time, was to look for fix and flip. So I was looking on the MLS, short sales. I had no idea what off market meant at that time. And it was my job. I was basically like an acquisition rep. So I'd underwrite the properties, I'd go look at them, and I'd negotiate the deals. And I did that for a year. And that's kind of how I got into the business. And then about once he started shutting that operation down, I got my real estate license and was just doing traditional real estate on what I knew how to do on finding fix and flips for people that wanted, to flip homes. And then soon after, about 6 months into that, I discovered wholesaling.
Wow. So what happened when you got into wholesaling? Like, what was your initial first deals, and how did you kind of start getting the traction going on that?
So I was lucky. I had two partners at the time, and we were all very, very ambitious. So we just pooled some money together, and we did our first mailing campaign at the time was like $20,000 worth of mailers. Like, we just went hard. And I don't even know if we got a deal on that. Our first deal actually came through a referral on a probate deal.
Oh, man.
And it got daisy chained like 3 times because we didn't have a buyer. We didn't know how to get buyers. I mean, we were fresh. We were just like anybody else. We were learning from people, and people like, I'll sell your deals, or we could JV on it, and just all that type of stuff. And then in Phoenix, the direct mail wasn't working all that great. And we were a little bit ahead of the curve at that time in our business. And this is when PPC was cheap, and we went nationwide on PPC. So, the broader you go on pay-per-click, PPC, by the way, for y'all that don't know, is pay-per-click. That's like Google ads, to where, if someone says, sell my house fast for cash, our ad pops up. So we were doing that nationwide, and I jumped in as one of the owners. I was basically dispoing and having to underwrite every property for our acquisition. So I had to learn a market every single day. We never knew where our leads were coming from. It was absolute chaos.
And so how did you fine tune that system then? Because I could only imagine having one of the top PPC SEO type marketing channels. Like, how did you systemize that?
We didn't. So what we did do was we kept shrinking our market size. Then we went to 10 markets. And then we eventually ended up, before I left that company with my partners at the time, I think we were at like 3 or 5 markets. I can't remember. And you have to know how to underwrite a deal. You have to know what you need it for, and you have to know what your buyers are buying at, so you could contract a property at the right price. So we just kept shrinking it down, and we learned as we went, and it helped us with operations. So I think I've dispoed in 40 to 45 states, almost every state in the US I've done a deal in at one time or another.
Wow. So how did that turn into your next business? Because obviously you're not with those partners anymore, and you came with two other awesome partners. So what was the whole transition into that? Because I know a lot of people jumping ships from a partnership, they want to go solo, they want to keep all the money. Like what's your opinion on that?
I did go solo. So
okay.
I started, obviously I got bought out of the company and started my own operation. And that was 3 or 4 years ago. And what I did, and that's when the cold calling started to get popular. So I was buying lots of data and having lots of people cold call. That was my whole entire operation. I went away from the PPC because that started to get expensive. Mailing was still expensive. And I went all in on cold calling. And that's all I did for a year and a half, was have a team of acquisition reps who were lead genning themselves and cold calling. So I was paying them 25% if they locked a deal up, but they were doing the lead generation as well. So, I'm just supplying data and Mojo at the time. Obviously, we don't use Mojo anymore, and that's what I did. And I created a 7-figure business out of it, and it was very simple.
Okay. And so was that 7-figure business you being solo?
Correct.
So what made you turn a 7-figure business, and I don't know how to say this nicely, but like dilute your equity on that with 2 other partners? It seems most people think that's crazy. Like, what was your logic on doing something like that? Because it eventually made you more money.
Yeah. So what happened was I was doing that business. So I was wholesaling, and then I would do about 10 to 15 fix and flips as well. So I think I do like 70 or 80 wholesale deals, and then like 10 to 15 flips. That would get me to roughly about $1 million in gross revenue. And what happened was I lost my data source, and that's when I met my now partner Evo, and he's like, "Hey, I have data. Try it out. You could do it in bulk. You could do all these different things." And I was like, "Oh, this is sweet." I have some friends that may be interested, what can I get if, affiliate or JV or whatever. He's like, you'd have half the profits. I'm like, deal. So we weren't partners. And then I started selling the shit out of it because we had really good data with batch Skiptracing. It wasn't even batch Skiptracing. We didn't even have a website then. We were just word of mouth, getting orders and processing them. It was that simple at that time. And to be honest with you, they had a wholesale operation as well that was successful. So what we slowly did was we each ran our wholesale operations for a year, and then we were partners on batch Skiptracing when that was our only product. And then it slowly became knowing that like we were competing on deals together. We're both buying, data separately, obviously at our cost and all that stuff. And it got to a point to where it was not being in the same office and not being able to work on everything together, having separate businesses. It got to a point where it financially made sense for us to combine our wholesale companies together, and then also be able to be working together on the batch products at that time. And I was hesitant, but I was sick of running the day-to-day on the wholesale, and Annie actually took that over. So they're like, hey, you're still going to make money on the wholesale and you don't have to be in the day-to-day. And I was like, love it. Cause I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years, and it's a grind, and they hadn't been doing it as long, and she was willing to take that on. And I was like, absolutely. If I don't have to deal with the day-to-day, which I still had to do because my team always wanted to come to me, and it was a mess, but it was good.
Okay. So basically, Annie was on the podcast probably a month or 2 ago, and I mean, she's a genius. Like, she's like very analytical. I mean, having anyone's business in her hands is amazing. Evo is like very smart when it comes to wholesaling. I mean, like, how did you find partners like that? Like, I've heard for every story like you that you found 2 amazing partners. There was a nightmare guy that took all the money and went to like the Bermuda. Like, how could someone find like a good partner in wholesaling?
So my first partners were actually amazing too. They just started dating and wanted to do some more of their own thing, and we had different visions. But they're the ones that taught me this is what it looks like to work your ass off and create a successful company. So I owe a lot to them as well. You might even know them. Do you know who Jared Vidalis is?
Yep.
That was my first partner, Jared and Danielle.
Yeah.
So I actually put the group together, and then like our first like 6 months, they kept like coming to me separately saying how cute they thought the other one was, and I was like, oh fuck. So it was inevitable, but they taught me so much to where we're still super close as friends. It just, we had different visions, and they started dating and they wanted to build a rental portfolio, and it wasn't going to work with how the dynamic was, but they taught me so much on, how to work hard, what grinding looks like, because I hadn't worked with people like that before. I didn't know what that looked like.
Yeah. I mean, so my next question here is like, let's talk about batch leads, because that's basically what 99% of like anyone new knows who you are from, right there on the hat there. So can you explain batch leads? Because I mean, for a new guy, when I started this business, I was like, what's batch leads? There's batch skip tracing, batch lead stacker. Like there's so much going on. Can you explain basically umbrella of the whole company?
Yeah, so it started off with batch skip tracing, and this all came from like our wholesaling. So we wanted to find good data. Okay, well, we found a good data source. Other people were asking for it. We turned it into a business, and then it in turn turned into us aggregating data and creating our own API and pulling multiple data sources. No one could touch our data. They all could say what they want. We spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on development, and testing our data and making it better with our data scientists. But so that's it. All started with batch skip tracing, and then I was frustrated in my wholesale operation saying I need a list stacking place or a data management place, and what was out there I wasn't happy with, and I just looked at Evo and said, "Can you build it for me?" And he goes, "Sure." And so it turned into, we had batch skip tracing and then batch lead stacker, which was then just a data management tool and list stacking. And then it evolved into batch leads, to where now you could skip trace in there with the batch data. You could, we have comping tools now. We have real estate lists in there. We have text messaging in there. We're soon going to have mail in there. It's just like a one-stop shop to really throw away the subscriptions and have all your stuff in one place. And then soon to be, as you know, batch dialer. We'll have a competitor with Mojo called Tools Then Call. And then we also have Batch Driven, which is a driving for dollars app that's similar to Deal Machine.
Yeah. So guys, if you know, I've done a couple of lives before with the people at GoKnock. They've actually switched over to Batch Driven. So if you know, like, what's Batch Driven? Is that competitor to GoKnock? They're all in the same roof. They're all using the same data.
Yeah, we just rebranded the company. It was, it was always a batch company. We, for some reason, tried to go with a different branding play, and it did not work. And people thought it was door knocking, when door knocking is just a small piece of it. You could virtually drive for dollars. It has, data in there. I think for the new investor, to be honest with you, I think to get your first deal, it's a better tool than batch leads. I think if you're willing to be proactive and get on that thing every day, you're going to find a deal.
Oh yeah. I mean, I say hands down, you knock on 200 houses anywhere, like with any motivation, you're going to get a deal. So I 100% agree with that. I love that service. I'm a user of it. So I'm a big, I guess, fanboy, the batch lead stuff. But the real truth, I talk about, like, I like batch leads. There's other good services on here, but like, I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's one service that has the best customer service than you guys, hands down. Like, I don't know if any other service like gives me a call like every quarter or something asking like how my service is. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah, we're trying to reach out monthly. We have onboardings. We're really trying. The platforms, there's a lot to it, and we want to make sure that people understand how to use it. Like, I understand, I'm a wholesaler first. I made my money wholesaling. Like, if I can't help you get deals, you're not going to stay with us. And like, I want to be that person. Just if it's my software that helps you find that deal, that changes your life. And then that turns into more deals and more deals. And now your life has changed from working a 9 to 5 or not having, that financial freedom to having that. And like my team knows every day, I'm like, it's always about helping them find deals. I don't care about anything else.
Boom. So a question I think I need to address off the bat here, because there's a lot of new guys watching this. I get questions a million times. What skip tracing service should I use? Should I use Batch? Should I use this one, this one, this one? I'm having a lot of stories where people might use like a skip tracing service that's like 6 cents, and they get one record, and they're like, I didn't get any deals from this. Like, the skip tracing sucks. Like, what's your opinion on maybe paying a little more money, going with Batch versus using like a Walmart cheap service of skip tracing? That's the only thing I could say.
So you get what you're paid for, and what we focus on, it's called RPC. And you probably don't even know what that means, but It is right party contact. You want to know, so you're going to get back 5, 6, 7 phone numbers. We want to make sure one of those phone numbers has the right party contact in there, which means you have the right person's information. Do they want to sell or not sell? That's not my fault. I just want to make sure that our phone numbers that we give to you for each address is having a high right party contact. And that's where we lead the industry, is making sure that we have the most of those. The more of those you have, the more opportunities you have to talk to someone that's potentially interested in selling, and the more deals you end up going to get. And that's what we focus on, is making sure we have right party contacts.
Okay. And so the difference between that and maybe one that has one phone number is they don't have that.
So like our right party contact normally is going to be anywhere between 55 and 65% of, one of those phone numbers that come back per address. And the stuff that you're using for, 3, 4, 5 cents is going to be roughly like 10%, 20% maybe.
Yeah.
So, but think of the time that you're wasting. If you're going to send the text, or you're going to make the phone calls, or you're going to, do whatever you're going to do with the skip tracing, you might as well have the most accurate phone numbers to get a hold of the right people that you're trying to contact.
Boom. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. Like I've tried the free stuff. I've tried the other stuff. I've even tried going straight to like the source of everything, having a little office, and then they come by like every quarter, investigate me. I was sick of all that stuff. So I use Batch for the skip tracing. I think it's a really good service. I mean, probably the most used one for you, I could be wrong, is like the SMS portion of it. Like, can you talk a little more about the SMS part of Batch leads? Like how important is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part, but I actually think it all starts with having good data, list stacking your data, and niching down on your data. And whatever you choose to do with that, obviously texting, you're going to get in front of the most people in the shortest amount of time. But it depends. If you don't have time to sit there and monitor your stuff, then cold calling's better. If you have a VA, or you have time to monitor your text messaging, obviously you're going to get through more leads. But the other thing is do both. Cold call, text message. If your state allows RVMs, or you don't get in trouble for that, you can do that as well. But like the most expensive parts of skip tracing, hit them in all different ways. Like texting is obviously great, and people have a ton of success. But if you're new and on a budget, because the expensive part's the data. So like, cold calling is really good if you don't want to sit there and run through data, or you don't have the budget to run through data. Obviously, if you have a decent budget, I would say to be successful, to get your first deal texting within 90 days, you probably need $300 to $400 a month to successfully do it.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And so what's your best course of action if someone wants to go to Batch, but they want to get their first deal? They got like the minimum amount of money possible. Like, how would they get their first deal?
Are you talking about Batch leads?
Yeah. If someone wanted to get like a deal, like obviously they want to get the best data possible. Like how would they get their first deal if you were in their shoes?
Like texting or cold calling, or what are you asking exactly?
No, like if you only had like $300 and you had to get a deal using Batch leads, like how would you be able to do that through the system? Would you door knock? Would you cold call?
That's tough. I would probably send text messages out, And if I didn't have a budget for like a power dialer, and then I would manually call through those numbers too for the people that I didn't get a hold of.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm asking, because there's so many people asking. Like, I get so many DMs. Like, I got $400, $500. What should I do? I know they're asking here all the time, so that's why I was kind of asking more about that. I mean, my next question here. So, you really gotten out of the flipping business, more into wholesaling in your career. I mean, is there a reason why you've kind of got away with the sexy HGTV flips?
So we actually stopped flipping in June, and we stopped wholesaling in June as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're focusing on developing. So we're building a 60-unit apartment complex right now.
Oh, wow.
We're also building 22 new builds in South Phoenix. There'll be about $500,000. And then we're doing 49 manufactured homes. I have a partnership with Pace on that. And we're building a 10-plex as well. So we're kind of, we transitioned from, we made all of our, a lot of our money in wholesale and flipping. And then now it's turned into rolling that money into big projects, and then long-term wealth. And then batch leads, batch Skiptracing, and all this stuff has blown up to where we had to make a decision on what we're going to focus on. And we wanted to focus on helping people get deals instead of us continue to try and wholesale. Because through all of our batch products, we have over 90 employees now.
Wow. Wow. So let's talk more about those crazy big buildings. Like, what's the goal on those like big, like multiplex buildings? Is it for like a long-term wealth, or are you trying to flip it? Like, what's?
So the 60 units, there's a good chance we'll keep them. And then you could do some really good tax savings with them while you're cash flowing. And then with the 22, we just wanted to try building out a small subdivision. So those are just going to go for sale. And then the other, we're doing like a 10 unit and some other stuff. And that's just stuff that we're going to hold in our portfolio as we grow. So the focus is growing our rental, or actually more multifamily portfolio, as rentals, and then doing some new construction, like small subdivisions. And that's kind of our focus on the real estate side for right now.
Wow. So could you, 60 units, that's insane. Are these like self-funded, or are you getting funding for all this?
So the hardest part is funding, is getting everything funded until, so you need all the underground done. Once you have the underground and you're ready to build, most places will fund between 90 and 100% of it. So we're doing a little bit of both. We're self-funding the beginning of both of the projects, and then we're going to probably bring on some partners. We just haven't really fully decided on what we're going to do on that side. But right now we have the funds to fund, the buying the land in cash or with hard money, because you could do like 50% down for land. And then you're just funding all the, your civil engineer is the one that's expensive at the beginning. He's charging you about $100,000 to get all this shit done, and then all the permits and stuff like that. Once you have that, people are ready to invest with you. So that's not the difficult part. It's just identifying a piece of land. And we're still learning. We're just starting this. So I am absolutely no expert. I feel like I was when I just started in wholesaling. There's a lot to learn. We're taking our time. And it's a new exciting chapter for us to grow as a company and push ourselves out of our comfort zone.
Wow. So you've obviously come from waiting tables, not making a lot of money, to going from here. I mean, throughout that whole journey for you, like, what was probably the biggest lesson you've learned, you think?
Reading and learning and mentorship.
Wow. Okay. And was there one person in your whole journey that you think has had the biggest impact on you?
Probably Danielle, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I mean, she brought me into real estate. So when I said I was working for that guy, she was my manager. We started our first wholesale company together. And as I said, she taught me a lot in real estate, but the biggest thing she ever taught me was how to work hard. And she still does that. Like oh my goodness, she they still grind like crazy people. Like they are, it's just, I'm forever thankful. Like without her, I wouldn't be here. And I know that.
Wow. That's impressive. So what are your core values for your business now? Because I mean, 90 employees it's hectic for me just thinking about it. I mean, what's your core values for it? How do you stop just a carousel of employees coming in and out? Like what's your tactics for that?
That's actually been probably our biggest strength is we don't have people coming and going too often. And remember, out of those 90, 50 something of them, we have a big development team on the back end. Obviously, we have big projects going on. Excuse me. We have, 4 different companies. We have batch Skiptracing. We have development on batch leads. We probably have 30 developers on batch leads. And then batch driven, there's 5 or 6, and then batch dialer, I think there's like 6 or 7 already, and that's just getting started. So, but what we've done is I say this all the time, we hire for character and we'll train skill. Like, I don't care if you're the most skilled person, like you have to fit our core values. Like we host lunch every week for everybody. And one of the weeks, like our employees were like, hey, let's go around the table and let's talk about what book that we're reading and how it's helping us become a better person. Like those are the type of people that we hire is someone that wants to grow, someone that wants to learn inside the company, and someone that wants to push themselves to be successful. So like our core values are on our wall. Our mission statement is on our wall. And when we interview, we are very, very clear of what type of person we're looking to have join our team.
And would you mind sharing your mission statement to us?
So, gosh, I wish my door was open right now. I believe it is we provide products and services that impact people and change their lives, something along those lines.
Wow. So, I mean, you're in and out everywhere. Like sometimes, like whenever I have someone in Phoenix and they're like a big, like popular coach or something, or like influencer, you're always popping in and out. It's crazy. I had one, I think, with Carlos Reyes, and I was just like, oh, like Jesse like came through. It's like you're friends with all these, I would say, quote unquote competitors. I mean, how is Phoenix having such like a cooperative like environment where everyone else around the country in wholesaling is basically cutthroat?
Collaboration, not competition, man. We don't have scarcity mindsets. Like Carlos and Sal are great friends. They have a competing Skiptracing company. They have multiple competing products. Evo and Sal talk like 4 days a week. I kid you not. They're my friends, and we both want each other to be successful. We don't talk bad about each other's companies. They have great services as well. And we're going to compete against each other, but we're going to compete in a way to where we're not hurting each other's feelings, and we're not going to, like, they're my friends before they're my competition. Like, I'm not going to ruin a friendship over money or business, especially because they're great guys. So, and then, there's Pace and Brent and Jamil and all those guys, Steve Trang, like we're all friends. We all compete in some way, shape, or form with each other. Yet we all have these private meetings where we tell each other all of our secrets and hope each other is able to learn something from it.
Yeah, I mean, and some other podcasts. I got a podcast, I think, with Brent. He was in the batch office with someone else. They're in the batch office. It's like everyone's together here. I think it's really cool what you guys have going over in Phoenix. If you guys want, I'm going to ask a couple more questions to Jesse, then we're going to open up a Q&A. So comment below the questions you guys have for Jesse, data related, anything related. This dude, if you were in front of him, think of the one question you can ask him. It would probably help you change your business forever. So think about what you're going to say, comment it below. But outside of wholesaling, I mean, you're one of the top guys there, top data guys. I mean, outside of wholesaling, what is the number one goal or achievement you're trying to achieve in the next year that gets you like excited?
I'm working on my health, and I'm also working on not working so much. So I'm working on health and balance. I've really worked my ass off on creating something successful, and I'm trying to get back to having more of a balance in my life, and that's something I'm really focused on.
Wow. And then on the business side, what's the number one thing you're most excited about?
Batch dialer and batch, all of it. Batch dialer, I'm excited because it's new, but batch leads, we got some really exciting things coming. I mean, all we really want to do is just like, we listen to what people want, and we're trying to build products. Like, my job's to impact lives, even if it's just with software. Like, if we're giving y'all tools that make your lives easier and help you get more deals, I mean, that's what I'm always working on, is just impacting lives. I came from nothing. Like, I was 28 years old with $0, broke as hell, with a $1,500 98 Honda Accord, waiting tables. Like, if I could do it, anybody could do it. It's not impossible. It's just a lot of hard fucking work, to be completely honest with you, and surrounding yourself with positive people and learning and reading and growing as a person. Like, there's no rocket science to this. That's it. It's not that hard. It's just sacrificing all the shit you like to do for shit that you need to do.
I 100% agree with that. I drove my first deal, 2004 Honda Accord, my first deal, and that was in 2017, and that thing almost broke down every single day, scratch marks everywhere. I remember that, but it's a completely relatable story with me. That's why I kind of wanted to do on the podcast here. But I mean, you've impacted a lot of lives. I mean, is there one story of one customer that you've impacted that had the biggest fulfillment for you for batch leads?
I've had a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, I've connected with some people and just vibed with them, to where I met someone at a conference that was just getting started, just started using our products. That was back before batch leads, maybe. And they're using our Skiptracing, and these two dudes from Houston, you might know them, Ben Blackburn and Derek Acuff, like flipping a house. Yep. We got a little tipsy at like Max Maxwell's Wholesaling Elite a couple of years, like 3 years ago now. And I was like, y'all could fly out and stay at my guest house. I got a phone call a week later, like, hey, we'll be out in 2 weeks. And I put them up for a week, and they were already doing deals, but like, I was able to help push them to the next level. I had a friend of mine here in Phoenix that's been struggling for quite a while, part-time wholesaling, and convinced him to quit his job full-time like 8 weeks ago. And he's gotten 4 deals in his first 8 weeks.
Wow. That's what do you think about? Was that just burning the ships basically? Is that what you think that helped them out? Like, what, someone quit their full-time job?
He'd worked for Steve Trang part-time for a little bit. He's gotten mentorship. I didn't really do that much. I helped. Actually, I didn't do anything at all. I just helped give him belief in himself. That's all he was doing, was scared that he wasn't good enough. I'm like, dude, you understand how to underwrite. You understand how to talk to sellers. You understand how to work your ass off. Quit your job. All I said to him was, like, every day you're working at your job, you're going to make less money, and it's inevitable until you do quit. And I just had to frame it in a way that, he understood, because you can't follow up with the leads properly when you're part-time. You can't do this. You can't do that. I'm like, just go all in and say, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I mean, he clipped deals quick too. So I was excited for him. But I have a ton of those stories to where I've hopped on one-on-ones just giving people advice. I'm not a coach. I'm not a guru. But if I connect with you, I'm happy to pour into people for free if they take my advice.
Wow. You're a go-giver, man. I love. Yeah, I know. I don't know Derek and Ben personally, but I've heard their stories. I mean, they're really good out there. So let's get a question here. So Eddie wants to know, how does your partnerships work? I guess.
For what?
I would assume for your wholesaling business.
Well, we don't wholesale anymore. So.
Okay. Well, when you used to do it.
The partnership was, every company I was with, we were equal partners. Okay. So what I would advise to people, because what we did with me, Annie, and Evo is we dated for a while until we actually combined everything. So what I have a couple of my buddies doing is they'll partner with somebody for 3 months, and they'll pool money together on marketing and then do stuff together. But then you're not having all these LLCs together and all these things, and you can kind of see if it's a fit. Like, you don't need to sit here and say, we're going to partner. Why don't you just contribute equal marketing dollars, figure out who's going to focus on what, and see if that works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then you don't have this horrible partnership that ends sour.
Yeah, and you also want to know what systems you guys had in place with your partnership. Like, we're using stuff from like Traction, or?
Oh, yes. Awesome. That's a great question. We do EOS. So basically
Oh yeah.
we have every Monday we have our level 10 meeting. Last week we had our quarterly meeting where we go out of office for a full 9 hours and fight and argue and decide what we want to work on, come to all be on the same page, and then we start executing for the next quarter. And that's probably been our biggest thing is we're very organized. We have all of our tasks in Trello every single week for what has to get done on our weekly. Then we have our rocks for our quarterly, and we're always on top of our shit. And that's where our successes came from, is making sure that we are accountable, hold each other accountable, and then on the same page as well.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, guys, you got to check out Traction. Probably one of the top books. I don't really care if you're not even in real estate. Like if you're having a business, it's definitely helped me a lot in mine. But my next question here is, I mean, it's for me. I get pitched products all the time. I guess personal for me, but I can only guess you get pitched 100 different things a day for something with batch. I mean, how do you stop that entrepreneurship like mentality where like you get an idea, you're like, oh, let's do this, let's go all in, let's put $1 million into it. Like, how do you filter through like a million ideas you probably get per day for like batch?
That's where my partners are great is I'm like, let's do this, that, and the other. And Evo's like, no. And I'm like, why? He's like, because we're doing this, this, and this. The other thing too is like, it's my job to think of ideas and it's their job to say no to me, but eventually I'm gonna have a good one. So, or I'll go into the product and play with it. And I'm like, I'm really good at like, I'm not the most technical person. So I'm like our best dummy to go play with our products and be like, hey, this is too confusing for our, if I can't understand it, then our typical user is not going to understand it because I'm not a techie person. Like I have partners for that. That's why they're my partners. But I understand how things flow and how stuff should work and how it makes it more easy for, our customers or users to be more successful. So I do a lot of that stuff as well. But for a while there, we were creating new companies and doing new things. And we talked about coaching, and you get to a time to where you need to be great at something instead of kind of good at everything. I think that's what a lot of people do is they'll try and wholesale and drop ship and do this and do that. Get good at something first and then add something else. But everybody wants multiple streams of revenue. Get one good stream and then go to the next. Don't try and half-ass like 4 or 5 revenue streams because you're not going to be successful with any of them.
Yeah, I agree on that one. I do the same with marketing. Like I got into RVMs, got into cold calling, and then I got into like 30 different marketing streams, and it was just all a mess. I got really good at one. I definitely agree with that. I mean, one of my last questions here is, I think you guys have some pretty good services, but I want to hear it from you. I mean, what is, let's say, your elevator pitch for someone, let's say they're trying to get into SMS marketing and there's 5 like million different ones. Like what's your elevator pitch on why they should use batch leads over the other ones?
Because no one compares. I don't really have to pitch them. We have more of an all-in-one system than anybody else does, and we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every month on development. Like try it out. If you don't see the value, I'm sorry, but I know our competition and I know the care we have for customer service. I know the amount of knowledge our account managers, our sales reps, our support knows, and a lot. We train them on wholesaling so they're able to help our customers. Like, that's what we do. And I really don't try and sell it. I'm just like, hey, this is what we do. Here's our vision. This is what we believe in. And if you're about it, I'd love for you to be a customer and we want to help you get deals. Like I'm not going to sell you anything. Like I know our stuff's great. I know we care. And if you believe that I'm being honest, which I am, then I would love to have you try us out. And it's not for everybody and everybody's not always happy, but I mean, dude, we've had thousands of customers get deals with us. Thousands.
Yeah. I mean, including me. So I love everything you guys are doing. I think you're a big go-giver. I think you pumped a lot of people up. Just like that little talk you did about like to the guy in Phoenix you're talking about, that pumped me up. I might go outside and do a couple deals, but I really appreciate you coming on today, like sharing your knowledge, sharing a bunch of value for everyone here. I mean, before we end this, do you have any parting thoughts to the guests? I mean, the audience?
I think there was one more question. How should I go about getting a contract from a seller?
Oh, my bad. Oh, boom.
Does he want to elaborate on that? Like, go knock on a door and see if they want to sell their house. Like, there's so many ways to get contracts. Honestly, it's just, I can tell he's new. Like, how should I go about getting a contract from a seller is, watch a lot of YouTube stuff and then go take action. You're going to sound like an idiot if you're just getting started. Just learn, fail, and fail forward, because, I didn't know what I was doing. You just need to learn and do as much as you can, but you need to learn, and you also need to learn through experience. And I think a lot of people want to do the analysis by paralysis. Yes, you need to understand at least what you're doing or talking about, but the dumber you make yourself feel when you fuck something up, you will never make that mistake on that question again, or you'll never, it's a combination of both. But how do I get a contract from a seller? Get a list and go cold call people. Go drive around a neighborhood, look for ugly houses, and go knock on their doors. Or you can use Batch Driven. We'll show you where those ugly houses are. But it's just being proactive, man. That's how you get a contract from a seller. Like, there's no magic sauce to it. It's just working your ass off.
I agree. The more appointments you go on, the easier it is. I mean, were you nervous your first appointment or deal?
I was scared shitless. I get nervous. I overanalyze things, and I was just like, just go do it. I didn't used to like to get on podcasts, but once you do something over and over again, the more comfortable you get. And that's with anything, the first time you go play basketball, you're not going to be comfortable because you suck. But, if you keep practicing, then you get a little bit more confidence. Owning businesses is the exact same thing, to be honest with you.
I mean, multiple seven-figure businesses. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on today. I love your stuff. I love the value you bring. Keep it up. I love it. I could come out to Phoenix one day, but I appreciate everything you're giving to everyone, and I appreciate you coming on.
Awesome. Appreciate it.